for being here. I'm super excited about this topic, Pinterest. How many of us have used Pinterest before? Just show hands. Ooh, it's like this side is more than this side. Okay, so anybody can go. What do you use Pinterest for?
Search engine.
Everything? Okay. Okay. A few more. What do you use it for?
Just ideas.
Ideas? Okay.
I search recipes and DIY projects.
Recipes, DIY. Okay.
Building a business.
Building a business. Okay, these are all great things, right? Because when we think about Pinterest, a lot of people think, okay, what am I going to use this for? Is it necessary? Is it applicable? Is it essential? I have to tell you this today. If you've never heard about this today, just think about this and write this down. Pinterest, right? The word Pinterest, you drop the P, and that's interest, right? It's interest. So Pinterest has a taste graph of two things. Like we have taste buds. Pinterest has a taste graph of two things: interests and keywords. Without these two things, Pinterest would not exist, right? Pinterest started back in 2010. And there are over 522 million active users on the platform. 45%, actually 40% of them use Pinterest, and they have an average household income of $150,000 a year. So that tells you, and actually before I say this, Pinterest is the only platform that I know that effectively uses zip codes for advertising. So imagine if you have research done, because I had a session yesterday about zip code marketing, and that's what I specialize in with SEO, just to make sure that your website is optimized and you're ready for the internet, you're able to really connect with AI technology as well. If you know the district, the county, the city, the state, the country that the people that you're connecting with are, where they live, and on Pinterest you're going to use up to about 2,500 zip codes at one campaign. Imagine 2,500 zip codes. Instead of saying, oh, Ohio, Nebraska, Hawaii, Florida, it's a waste of money because you're just splashing it out to the state, but you don't know who exactly is living in that state that is interested in your product or your service. So if you now think about the zip codes, you know, okay, I just want to focus on Florida. I just want to focus on Texas. And then you focus on 2,500 zip codes, you'll be totally fine. You won't even have to spend a dime on any other platform. Why? Because when you're using social media, using it to connect with people, right? Share content, communicate, and grow. So if you think about Pinterest long term, right? The lifespan is really long. I told people yesterday, the lifespan of an Instagram post is 19 hours. So imagine all the amount of time you spent on Canva, posting content, subscribing to ChatGPT and all these things, and then you have 19 hours lifespan, right? Compared to Pinterest, which is 5 months. Because people go to Pinterest to plan, right? So when you're planning to make a purchase. And if you're planning to make a purchase, you're starting early. So whenever people use Pinterest, like right now in February, by the time we get to April, people are going to start looking for Christmas trees.
Yeah.
You see? Because people like to plan. You plan to be in Cre8tive today, right? You plan ahead of time, right? So if you use that same concept, it's going to make sure that your business gets the top. Think about this. Google, Microsoft, Apple, all of them, they all talk to each other in one way or the other. So think about your Google images on Google. Where do you think they come from? Pinterest or YouTube as thumbnails, or your website, which is very important because it has thumbnails, it has header shots. So if you have a business and you're not on Pinterest, that's a missed opportunity. Because think about the amount of people who are spending time on the platform. Pinterest is like the least, like people don't even talk about it. People go to TikTok, they go to Facebook, they go to Instagram before they go to Pinterest. Why? Because it's popular, it's common, that's what people like, that's what people use, that's what people know. But if you don't know about Pinterest, how will you be able to scale as a business? Because when you start scaling as a business, there's some things that you don't want to talk about twice. You want to talk about it once, then update it. And talk about it today, tomorrow, the next day, and the day after. So when you're using Pinterest, think about Pinterest as this place where you actually connect the dots. And if you have an Instagram, that's even better, because on Pinterest, you can actually connect to Instagram. So if you post anything on Instagram, automatically it pushes to Pinterest. And I love what Rick said earlier about RSS feed. RSS stands for really simple syndication, right? Really simple syndication. When you think about your syndicated shows, your syndicated series, your syndicated movies, all of them have sequences. And that's how Pinterest was built, right? So when you build Pinterest, people go there to search. They don't go there to look for Nike shoes or Adidas shoes. They go there for running shoes, walking shoes, jogging shoes. Then you find the brand. Compared to Amazon, where you look for something specific, right? So when you think about the search engine on Pinterest, it's a big giant, a big one. Because when you connect your website to Pinterest, you're technically telling Pinterest that you have a website. Just like when you have a business, you have a brick and mortar, you go to Google and you get a code. That's the same one on Pinterest. You connect the dots, and it's something called claim Pinterest, meaning that there's a code you apply on your website that sends traffic signals to your business. So imagine in a year, 52 weeks in a year, every week you're posting at least one thing. Because people say, how many times have I posted on Pinterest? Just once. Just once. You don't have to post 3 times a day. Post once a day. Because that once a day is 5 months over the once a day on Instagram. Because you think about the longevity of your post as opposed to just what the post is. Now, there's usually a big misconception about pins and boards, right? That's where things get a little messy. Pins are individual frames. Like, this is a pin, I can pin this, I can pin this, I can pin this. But I can't pin this, this, and this in the same board, because this is a balloon, this is a speaker, and that's a tree. So the same way you have a business, you have products, you have services, you have collections, you have different things, you want to put them in different categories. So as a business, think about Pinterest like your grocery store. When you go to aisle 7, that's where you see the candy. You go to aisle 9, that's where you see the, dog food. When you go to aisle 11, you go to see the gardening tools, right? There are different sections for different things. So as a business, when you create a board, you say this board is going to focus on only this, marketing tips. This board is going to focus on book publishing. This one's going to focus on, like for you, recipes. When you now go into recipes, of course, there are different types of recipes. There's Caribbean food, there's Mediterranean food, there's African food, there's Indian food, there's Asian, so it's like you can't box it all in one. But when you start being very specific with your keywords, that's when things make sense for you. Because a business runs on Pinterest like a well-oiled machine if you have content there, right? So if you have content today and you put it out on Pinterest tomorrow, a year from now, you're still benefiting from that post. Because some people say, oh, how do I do affiliate marketing? How do I do all these things? It happens on Pinterest. Pinterest is the only platform that you can post a picture, which is a pin, and you click on it, and it takes you to a website. You can't do that on Instagram, you can't do that on Facebook, you can't do that on TikTok, you can't do that on LinkedIn. Everything requires a link. But that link is inside your image. That's why if your website link is inside that image, you end up on Google Images. So it's the linking factor that is very important. If you have an affiliate marketing platform, if you sell things on Amazon, you can put it up there. If you have a product, you can do a whole video reel and say, hey, this is what I did today, check me out, here's my book. They'll buy it. Because things are sold there for $9, $55, $50. You want to look for furniture, you start planning ahead of time. So Pinterest really gives you that strong, solidified connection with the people that you connect with. Because when you connect by zip code, when you connect by region, when you connect by city, when you connect by state, it starts putting you above the threshold. And not many people use Pinterest either. As a business, there's a difference between Pinterest personal and Pinterest business, right? That's when I asked how many of us use Pinterest, I'm sure it's personal because you just go there, you search, you like, you pin, you go. On average, if you compare Pinterest to other platforms on the internet, Pinterest is the lowest amount of time people spend on the platform. It's about 2 hours, compared to TikTok, which could be 30 hours. Because people just swipe, 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 swipe. But on Pinterest, you're going there because I'm looking for vases, I'm looking for wedding pearls, I'm looking for rings, I'm looking for things that are very specific to your market fit. So as a business, think about Pinterest differently today, and if you ever need help with that, please reach out to me. Because it can get really complicated. It can get very sophisticated because there's so many moving parts. What do I do here? How do I do this? But it gets easier. Just like any other platform. When we're moving from stick shift to automatic, now to hands-free, we get used to those things. That's the same thing with Pinterest. So you think about Pinterest as a business instead of it being as a personal interest, right? So when you switch that up, it creates more momentum for you as a business to grow because now you have calculated connections. Calculated connections. What are those connections? Your board. Let's say this is week 5. Week 5, I just want to talk about flowers. Week 6, I just want to talk about materials. It gets easier for you because sometimes it gets so overwhelming that you don't know what to post, how to post, and that's why there's something called Pinterest Trends. Pinterest Trends is free. Just like there's Google Trends, there's Pinterest Trends, right? You want to see what's trending. For the ladies, when you want to know what nails you want to have, you go online, you search, you see what's there, you know what's trending. We just went through Valentine's, everybody was doing something with pink or red. Now we're going into, St. Patrick's Day. People are going to be turning to green, and before you know it, we're at Halloween, and then we're doing orange. So people are using different colors. Even when you send emails, you use colors. So when you use those colors, there's psychology in those colors. So when you think about marketing on Pinterest, it's not just about pinning stuff, it's about thinking about what you're showing them. So if you send an email and you say, hey, check out my board and see what it is, before you send them to Pinterest, send them to your website. Because your website is going to have first-party data acquisition. In other words, first landing. In other words, contact first. If I'm meeting you here today, that's zero-party connection. If I get your contacts and you get mine, that's zero-party connection. First party means that I come to your website, I see a pop-up, and I opt in. That's through consent, right? Second party is, there are 3 types, there are 4 types. Zero party, first party, second party, third party. Second party is your social media. You go to your analytics, you see men, women, you see the age, you see the cities, the states. That's second party. Why is it second party? Because you don't own it. Meta owns it. TikTok owns it. You control it, but you don't own it because it's not your proprietary information. It's not your intellectual property. Yes, you're using it as a shared platform, but it's not your own platform. And then third parties like Wikipedia, or you get featured on the Forbes, or you're a TEDx speaker, that's third party because you don't control it, but you attribute to them, and they attribute back to you. So Pinterest is not a place where you just post things. That's where you pretty much put your best things out. So I'll give you an example. And before I give this example, what platform do we use mostly on the web for social or for business? Can anybody say, just pick a platform? LinkedIn, Instagram, okay. So let's say Instagram, and then I'll go to LinkedIn. With Instagram, you post every day or you post every week. In that week, you probably posted twice or 3 times. And let's say out of those 3 posts, you have 2 good responses. Maybe one has 50 likes, the other one has 100 likes, the other one has 200 likes. The one that has 100 and 200 likes, you take them to Pinterest. The one that has 50, you can leave it on Instagram. Why? Because the one that has 100 and 200 shows that there's a lot of connection, there's something that resonated with them. It was probably what you wore, it's probably what you said, it's probably how you said what you said, and that's what makes people resonate with you. Because the first 3 seconds are the most important things. Because I also have a business background, I also have an entertainment business background. For those who don't know, I'm a self-taught drummer, and I'm also a musician. This is going to be 20 years doing music. And I have connected music to business, to SEO, like a linked chain, because I see the same thing in the whole attribution model. So if you use Pinterest and think about the time you're spending. Let's say you have a 15-second reel that's talking about 5 ways to improve your SEO, 5 ways to improve your marketing, 5 ways to fill in the blank. Those first 3 seconds is so important because imagine 25% acquisition of a 30-second clip or 15-second clip compared to 25% of a 90-second clip. There's a difference. So instead of you talking on the web for people who are not listening to you, why not finish that? Because sometimes we run ads on the web and we're running ads for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and yet they're only doing 20%. So you're wasting a lot of money. And speaking about money, let me also surprise you with this stat. Let me say this. Pinterest is the least amount of ignored ads that you can ever have on Pinterest. In other words, when people go to Pinterest and they see an ad, they're excited. Compared to when you go to YouTube, you want to skip. How many people skip YouTube ads? You see? If you're finishing it, it's probably because you like what you see or you're just curious, but you're not going to buy, you're not going to subscribe, you may not even remember a week after. But on Pinterest, if you're looking for furniture, you're going to see a Wayfair ad, you're going to see a Walmart ad, you're going to see a Target ad, you're not going to see a Home Depot ad because you're looking for things specifically to that. If it's interior design, it can change. If it's food, you start seeing like Food Network, you start seeing different things. Let me give you also another shock too. Apple. Every September, when Apple releases a new flagship product, they flood Pinterest like a wave. And that's where they spend their most money. If you look at the stock market, check it out in September and see. Pinterest is where they get the most return on their investment because about 14% of the people who ignore ads on Pinterest compared to Reddit and YouTube where it's about 60%.
Wow.
So imagine you have 82% on Pinterest connected to you, and these people are paying you, they're playing with your content, they're just saving, they're pinning, they're screenshotting, they're printing, they're actually enjoying your content. Till this day, there are 500 billion pins that have been saved. Till to this day. Since 2010. What's that, 15 years? About 15 years, yeah. 500 billion pins that have been saved. So imagine what one pin can do with 5 months of lifetime. And you know what refreshes the life cycle of a pin? Your website. Why? If I'm talking about 5 ways to improve your home, and I'm an interior design business owner, and I give you 5 tips, I give you 5 pins, because those pins are embedded to your website, not a link, an embed, meaning that I can watch your pin on my website without having to go to Pinterest. Just like YouTube, right? When you go to YouTube, you stay on YouTube because you want to watch a YouTube video. But imagine if you get a blog that says, here are the 5 videos you can watch about this topic. They'll watch those 5 YouTube videos on your website. They won't go to YouTube because they don't want to be distracted by ads. They don't want to be distracted by suggestions. They don't want to be distracted by shopping. They want to focus on, because they don't have time to waste scrolling. They want to focus on that thing. So imagine if you have a pin that is connected to a page on your site, you're getting all that traffic. And the good thing about Pinterest is that you get 100% credit. So let's say you want to exchange content with people and say, okay, I have this UGC content piece. I didn't even create this material. I love this recipe. I love this material. I love this food. I love this meme. And you go to Pinterest and post it, you get 100% acquisition of that. Because it's coming from your website. So your website is the most important part of Pinterest. You can be on Pinterest, but if your website is not connected, you're disconnected from the server. You're serving the community, but you're not serving yourself back. Because what you're using Pinterest to do is to get information, retention, and attention, right? So if I'm making a post that's gonna give me attention, it makes more sense for me to create the dots and connect with people. So this is how you're able to use Pinterest as a giant and also connect with people who are interested in what you do. So it's not just about posting, pinning, creating content, it's different. If you have a blog on your website, for example, let's say you post once a week, that's 52 weeks in a year. There's an RSS feed and there's an XML file, right? I'll give you the difference between these two. An RSS is really simple syndication, right? That's for podcasts, that's for blogs. And you can have an XML file, which is an expandable markup language. That is what is read by the bots. So what we read is HTML, hypertext. Those blue links we see on Google, that's hypertext. When you send an email that says click here, that's hypertext, because there's a link behind the text. Well, when it's XML, it means that you can just post it. So if you have a blog and you connect your XML file at the back, then anytime you post, it goes out. We talked about LinkedIn. If you have a business and you have a company profile, you can connect your RSS feed to LinkedIn, to your company profile. So every podcast episode you release, LinkedIn pushes out for you. You don't have to do the work. As long as you have connections, consistency, and quality assurance, you'll be good. So think about Pinterest differently this year and try to use it a little bit better. And if you need help, please reach out to me. And definitely, if you want to connect with me, you can write this down. This is my website, playinc.online. 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 When you hit that button, you'll see, it looks like a link tree. You'll see book a call. You can book a call with me. If you want to be on the podcast, please feel free to do so. We'd love to have you there. If you want to learn about Pinterest, it's there. If you want to read the articles, it's there. If you want to go to my podcast, it's called WeDon'tPlayPodcast.com, which is also on that same website. And my podcast has really grown because of Pinterest, because I've been able to reach 123 countries in 6 years of podcasting. I have about 500 episodes. And there are about 10 seasons. So it's been very possible. Consistency and quality assurance will get you right there. So I think my time is up, but I want to take some questions. Yes, Inez.
Hello everybody. So I'm an author of 8 books, and so I could be like a testimonial for Pinterest in that. Hello everyone. I'm an author of 8 books, and I could be a testimonial for Pinterest. I just put it up there because it was another platform for one of my books, and that is one of it's my top seller. So, and when I looked at my analytics, I'm steadily getting these people reaching out to it, and I do nothing to it. Like, I put it up way back when I published the book. So you're constantly getting traffic, and I haven't done anything for it. In fact, I didn't even know what I was doing. I just created the pin because I was like, oh, I like Pinterest. Maybe other people do, and I put it up. So it is something that I wanted to pursue. Thank you so much. This has been very eye-opening, and I'll definitely be reaching out.
So, because I talked to you earlier about SEO.
Yeah.
So is Pinterest knowledgeable of, say, if an image has certain words or pictures or whatever, and it automatically puts it in that category?
Great question. So Pinterest has an algorithm called Pixie, P-I-X-I-E, Pixie. Pixie is the name of the algorithm. So just like we have Google Lens that scans your image, you can go to the Google app and you can scan a shoe, scan something, and gives you related results. Pinterest gives you the same thing. So with Pinterest, with Pixie, if you have an image, let's say you move it from Canva, don't upload it the same way. If it says default template, rename that template to whatever it is in hyphens, because in the hyphenated text, when you upload a pin, you're uploading it to a local server. So if you sell flowers, books, like you said with books too, and you have quotes, those quotes become live action feeds for you. So when you think about the words you write on your screen, on your paper, on your content piece, that's very important because that allows you to connect with people. Because if you have the word flowers or books there, anybody who's looking for books in that category will find you, and that's how you're able to connect with people. So it's very easy to use, but it's also very systematic to use. So it's a really great operational tool that you can have. Any questions? I got 1 more minute.
Okay, you got one more, there you go.
Not really a question so much as just super appreciation. This has been eye-opening.
Why don't you give them these daps and these clothes? Come on.
Woo, thank
Why don't you give them
What?
I'll tell you.
You're amazing. This is something I've never thought of Pinterest, but it's eye-opening, and thank you. This has been phenomenal.